All right, so we got 60 seconds on the clock for your opinions on The Flash, the big movie of the moment.
I'm going to say one thing before. Spoilers. You want me to go first or you going first?
I want you to go first this time, but I give you an added challenge, which is before your 60-second little breakdown, I want one word. If you could describe your viewing experience of The Flash in one word, what is one word that comes to mind?
Everything.
Everything? Okay.
It's the first word that came. Is the first word that came. What about you?
My one word is shocking.
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 Interesting. I like this. Is fun. We should do this more often.
Little tease. Little tease.
Little
for
tease.
The,
Little
for
tease
the fans.
before the tease. Council Pop.
Now for your 60-second tease.
And scene. I think that everybody comes to our channel or channels like this looking for that one hot take. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Give me this bipolarity. I think this movie is the antithesis of that. There were times I wanted to walk out, and there are times where I was like super excited. I felt a lot of the spectrum of feelings from a movie standpoint, as a viewer standpoint, from an enjoyment standpoint, and from like a craft standpoint. Like, that's why I said everything, because I feel I went on a journey, good and bad. So I don't think I could boil it down to like some 60-second quick hot take that I'm sure you're all looking for. I think there's a lot to discuss. I think there's a lot to discuss. I think there's a lot to talk about. I'm excited to talk about it because I think this movie did some things well, and some of the worst things that I've seen recently are also in this movie too. So it's everything. This movie is all things.
Yeah, the movie is everything, everywhere, all at once. Some might say.
Yes.
Better than. Yes. That's my hot take. This is the best film. No. Okay, yeah, I get that. Okay, 60 seconds. I understand where you're coming from. I'm gonna be a little meaner than you are.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Because here's the thing. There's a lot to like, and then there's a lot to really hate. But the stuff that's there to really hate is so much more about. It's so much more emblematic of a deeper problem in like modern filmmaking that it makes me hate it so fucking much.
Wow.
No conversation about this film. And I know maybe I'm the wrong guy or the right guy, depending on your opinion, to have this conversation as the broken record cry wolf guy. No conversation about this film can not begin with the horrendous CGI almost throughout the film.
Every time.
No. I know, but that's the problem. Is that like I complain about that shit all the time. So anybody that watches this show might just be like, oh yeah, he never likes new CGI. This is several levels below what I would have said is the worst CGI I've ever seen in a major motion picture. This is easily the worst visual effects I have ever seen in a major motion picture. And to me, that negatively colors every other aspect about the film, including the things that I liked. And I thought there were a lot of moments that I was like, oh shit, I feel like kind of rah-rah, like superhero fun. It did it.
Yeah.
But if you care so little for your final product that you put it out there looking like, I mean, D-level stuff from 1998, like, then I don't respect you. And I can't respect any part of the film. Like, oh yeah, you're really great at storytelling, but you signed off on this. And anyone who signed off on this should be fired and banned from ever working on another film of any kind until the end of time. It is terrible.
Those are the hot
my
takes
review.
that
I'll see
you
you
come
later.
here for. That's it. And I knew. No, I like it better when you were gone. Yeah, I figured as much. And I assume that's where you want to start. We can start with this because there are a handful of things that I think are being talked about this film, and the CGI and lack thereof is definitely on the top of that list. So it seems like a good a place to start as any.
It's super low-hanging fruit, and we do talk about this all the time. So let's try to just knock it out of the way, and then we'll move on to other stuff. But I really do wholeheartedly believe, like, all hyperbole aside, that this, like, you cannot not talk about it because it is that much worse than anything else. And it's not just that it's horrible in some parts that, like, you can be like, okay, like when he enters the Speed Force Thunderdome bubble or whatever, and there's all those like weird kind of interpretive repeating patterns of his life, which is a cool concept in theory. Like, if that was the way it was, which was awful, you could be like, whatever, it's not real. So much of what was really awful about this, like, I'll forgive that. But the fucking face swapping of having two Ezra Millers on screen at once, where one is so clearly computerized and not even to a good way. Like, The Social Network did it better 10 years ago. This is like Polar Express level computer animation, and like voices. My short film does, you just do a side by side, split down the middle, do a fucking mask, boom, you got two of them. Laurel and Hardy did it in the fucking 1940s. Like, it's so simple and looks so much better. And the most mind-boggling thing is that they do fully computer animated Ezra Miller when they are the only ones in the screen. So the Ezra Miller stuff, I don't understand. They'll do scenes with the two Ezra Millers where it cuts back and forth single shots, and one of them is a real person. And the other one is a fucking computer Ezra Miller.
I grew up to be healthy, handsome, and successful as an actor and model.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Single shot. No one else is in the shot. Like, why? Honestly. Why? That is inexcusable.
So there, I think it's interesting because there's two parts to this debate that I think that are going on right now, and I've already touched on both of them. One, for those tuning in at home, is the inside the, I forget what it's called already. I've heard it a bunch of
dome thing.
The Speed Force dome thing. When they're inside that, there's a certain look that people are not responding well to, which you had mentioned, and the argument on the other side of it from the filmmakers are that that's by design. That this was supposed, maybe not executed well, but it's not just poor for poor sake, it's by design. But to your point, I'm sorry, do you want to?
No, but he also says that about all the other awfulness, including the babies at the beginning. That entire opening sequence.
I thought it was just relegated to like that.
I thought so too. But he uses like the babies as an example of like why that was intentional, because we're seeing it from Barry Allen's perspective. And so because he's moving so fast in the slow motion world, it's of course going to look a little distorted and weird to us. And if we think it seems weird, then we're picking up what he's putting down. Like, that's the way it's supposed to be, which is the biggest load of shit. I can't even I can't even imagine you would say something like that with a straight face. Like,
well, you would if you were trying to get away with shoddy work. I mean, it just, we know the technology exists. We know the technology exists. We've seen Thanos before. Like, there are examples of really great CGI work out there in this capacity. So, well, and it's tough to accept.
You're trying to tell us too, like, it's all amplified by all the backstories of bullshit and development hell and everything that's gone on at Warner Brothers or the DCEU and Zack Snyder and everything. But like, you're gonna try to tell us that this is a very important film. Like, I'm embarrassed for myself. Like, I'm embarrassed. I believe the hype. Like, I really like the trailers. I thought like, oh, okay, James Gunn is saying this might be one of the best superhero movies of all time. That Tom Cruise soundbite, like, oh yeah, it's gonna save cinema. Like, it's like, oh, and they're willing to deal with all of Ezra Miller's like repeated awfulness to just delay this film and not cancel it or not recast him. And it's like, all of that led me to believe, oh shit, this has to be like really good. Like, this movie's gonna be really good. It's gonna sum up and kill off the old DCEU in a respectful, cool way, and it's gonna transition us into this new future. And it doesn't. And so you can't, sorry, my point is, you can't tell me it's important if you're not gonna put any effort into the way it looks. Like, you clearly don't think it's that important. You fucking lied to us, you know?
Yeah, this movie was supposed to be so good that it did two things. Like, it was supposed to be the best standalone superhero movie ever. We heard that. And it was going to totally revolutionize the DCEU, or just DCU now at this point. Like, I forget what
it was gonna bridge the gap between the EU and the U.
Like, completely, it's gonna change the game from a bigger story standpoint as well. and it did neither of those things. The latter, changing the game, so to speak, it does to a degree, but not to the degree which I thought to outweigh all of the nonsense, the bullshit that Ezra Miller brought to the table, which we should state are awful things.
Yeah, they're not nothing. It's not like
they're not like
it's rough.
So if you choose not to support the film, I would never fault you for doing that. This film had to do a lot and had a lot of expectations to hit. And I think if it didn't have those expectations going in, would this film be better? Probably not for you, because what you hate, you're going to hate. But for most people, for general audiences, because the bar was set so high, does that lead to some of the overreaction the other way? Like, I knew it wasn't going to be that good. There's no way it was going to,
It's so bad that people are just turned off completely, and I don't, you can tell that you are not being respected. I know I say that about other films, I've said that about other films, but this film is not treating you with any level of respect if they think that terrible aspect of the Adam Project at the end with Catherine Keener, where she has the young version of herself and they're fighting Ryan Reynolds or whatever, and they won't even show those clips for longer than 3 seconds in that movie because it's so bad. That's just this whole film. It's just they took the worst part of this and extended it. Of course it's not going to resonate. Of course you can't tell me this is one of the greatest superhero films of all time, and then I go see it and it's like, oh, well, that's clearly Ben Affleck's not even in that first scene. It's just a completely computer-generated Batman on a motorcycle the entire time. Affleck, he couldn't even come get on a motorcycle and put a green screen behind him? He couldn't even do that. So it's so patchworked together that I can't imagine, for all of the things that are enjoyable about it, that anyone's leaving oh yeah, can't wait to see that again, can't wait to tell people to watch it, because it's full of shit. You were lied to. I would have rather James Gunn had just said, it's a really solid, great movie that we think is really important to Barry Allen's story, and can't wait for you guys to see it. But if James Gunn genuinely believes this is probably one of the best superhero movies of all time, which was his quote, then I weep for the future of the DCU, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I know he knows what he's talking about, so that means he's fucking lying. And so I don't want to be lied to. I'm not going to like your film. Clearly you don't think this is a good movie, James Gunn. No one signed off on those special effects. I'll try not to talk about the special effects, but
yeah,
it's fucking rough. It's rough. It cannot be overcome.
I think that I would assume, and I know nothing, I'm on the outside clearly, but I would assume that all of this is a concerted effort to get people in the door. I think Warner Brothers looked at this and said, this is our chance. We have stumbled so many times. This film has stumbled so many times. There's been so many issues with everything. And the laundry list is very long. And I think that they probably just, I don't know if they line people's pockets or...
I did not take a bribe, all right? I was accused of taking a bribe.
I mean, Stephen King's talking about stuff.
They for sure did. Checks
Tom Cruise, and they had
distributed.
some of the biggest players, and some of the most credible sources you would think, people you would trust. Why would Stephen King lie to me? What?
Well, the director made the It movies. And
no,
they're buddies.
I know, but from an outside standpoint, I'm saying why just because he made him a shit ton of money, I guess that's enough.
All the stock that I've bought back in Tom Cruise after Maverick, and I'm willing to forgive all of his Scientology horrors, it's back down. You lied to me, Tom. You fucking lied to me. I know you didn't think this was a good movie.
They had to that's a plan to get people in the door. I think that was just the plan. Just get it so hyped, get it so big that 2 weekends is all we need.
Yeah, just to try to break even.
Yeah, just give me 2 good weekends.
Let's recoup our losses.
Hype. I would assume that was the plan.
As it pertains to expectations of this film, I thought that yes, A, based on all the hype, it was going to be pretty good. But B, that it would have to be at least some sort of conclusion, a nice little bow-wrapped conclusion to the DCEU and everything that Zack Snyder did, and this whole universe that is coming to an end with the arrival of James Gunn and his partner. So I thought, that's what this will be. But it wasn't that at all, and if anything, this film ends with a dozen unanswered, very important questions. The last moment of the film introduces George Clooney as Batman reintroduces, which is a potential storyline that needs to be resolved. And this film will likely not have a sequel, and we're moving on from this universe. So like, what the fuck? How can you? Well, if you're James Gunn, why would you allow that? Like, I'm just mind boggled. We're starting fresh, clean slate, and we're gonna but maybe George Clooney's back.
We're gonna muddy the waters immediately. Like I ask you at home, how do you interpret that? I'll tell you, I interpret it as a joke, as a gag. That's how it immediately hit me, and I go, oh, they're just playing this for laughs. Did you seriously think they were introducing George Clooney as the new Batman or a Batman moving forward? Or is it just a cameo and that's it?
I think more than anything, it's just like a fun cameo. But even if it is just a fun cameo, it can't just be that, because like it introduces so many questions. Like if George Clooney is different than Michael Keaton, which in terms of the original quadrilogy, you thought, yeah, these are different actors playing the same character in the same world. They have the same Alfred. They're referencing experiences that the others had. Like, so now you're saying that's not true. And if this is all just a big gag, ha ha ha, we got George Clooney to come back, just like ha ha ha, we got fake Superman Nicolas Cage to show up earlier. Like, that's a bad decision. Like, that's shitty to do a film like this has so much responsibility to wrap this up, and you're just gonna say, fuck that?
This film's job was to give us a clean slate, and it made it seem like this story and these characters are all gonna continue, which is super confusing. When the hype around the film is it's the greatest movie ever, and also going to reset the universe.
Yeah, exactly. That was the marketing. It's not just like that's what we perceived, that's what they said. That's why they couldn't. That's why they couldn't get rid of this movie. It's why they had to wait until it was able to be released, and why they could ignore all of Ezra Miller's bullshit, because this movie's that important. It resets everything. It resets nothing.
But nothing.
It resets nothing. You have Gal Gadot in it. You have Jason Momoa in it. You have Ben Affleck in it. You reference Henry Cavill and Cyborg, and the end of the film, the big reveal at the end, is a completely new fold, a completely new wrinkle. It's just stupid, because if you're James Gunn, and again his partner Pete or something, I think, like,
Saffron.
And your whole fucking thing is that you're starting anew. Like, what the fans think, be damned. We're getting rid of Henry Cavill after it was just announced he's coming back. We're pushing Patty Jenkins away. They're not doing Wonder Woman 3. Like, you're swinging your dick around. You're like taking charge. Like, this is what we're doing. It's our vision. It's been a mistake. We know some of you liked some of this, but we're clean sweep. We're brave, and we're charging forward. But then you're also kind of hedging your bets to see if the Ezra Miller Flash works out, and if the Jason Momoa Aquaman works out. And if they work out, maybe they are a part of this new future. Like, so because we know that you still don't know, that you are undecided and are kind of measuring this thing out, that's weak. Like, that's not you making a new, charging your own fucking trail forward. That's a failure. Like, you are still unsure. And if there's one thing that a clusterfuck like the Warner Brothers DCEU needs, it's fucking certainty. It needs fucking certainty, and this is evidence that they still don't have it. Because if James Gunn can't tell you if Ezra Miller or Jason Momoa are going to be those characters moving forward, then they still don't have a cohesive plan. And if I gave a shit about these characters in this universe, I would be really fucking nervous.
I want to talk about the end in general, because just the last 20 minutes really sent me on an emotional roller coaster, even outside of the rest of the film, which I do want to talk about the rest of the film. As the climax of this film began and it started to unfold, I began to get really, really excited, because my number one problem with time travel movies is that they're stakes eliminator. They just erase all stakes, because you can go back in time, you can fix it. Like, what does it matter? Just go and fix it. So I got really, really excited when you start to see them play that out and then realize it's not gonna work. And this film has this point to say that there are absolutes that happen and they will always happen. So there's certain things that are in concrete. This happens to be one of those moments. Supergirl's gonna die, Batman's gonna die. This universe is going to crumble, and you just going round and round is only making it worse.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can do about it. So I go, holy shit, this is the end of the universe. The end of this movie is that the universe is going to crumble. And there's nothing, and that is what's going to reset the universe. Something at the end will pop out of the ground or whatever. Or they'll give a little bloom of light, and that will be the new universe. But it'll just fade to black. And what a powerful metaphor that I thought the mother had said early on in the film about, some problems just can't be solved. You have to accept it. I'm paraphrasing a little bit.
Yeah.
That didn't only apply to her story because that was obvious, but if applied to the whole universe, you've run this shit into the ground, but you gotta let it go and start fresh. What a powerful ending that we were this fucking close to, and instead of that, he has that really nice scene with his mom, which we can talk about.
It's a great scene.
But then at the end of that, all of a sudden he just lands into his bedroom and he goes, I'm back. And everything seems fine. Everything's fine. All that stuff that we saw for 2 hours, all that dread, all that difficultness, all of the world crumbling, people are dying over and over and over again. Did it mean anything? Did it mean anything other than a little cute joke for now Clooney's here?
Yeah.
It went from something special to something awful, in my opinion.
Well, I think that's really a brilliant idea, Keith, and I hate to give you credit for anything. I'm swallowing my own vomit. We're saying the word brilliant and referencing you. But I think honestly, that is a great idea. Had they all had it just been like you're talking about, you lose. You created a problem that was too much. And now the universe and all universes and all timelines are the bowl of spaghetti, and they're fucked. And it's this big mess. Cut to black. That would be holy shit, an impact, holy shit, hard reset that we've been talking about. And now you start fresh with these new DCU movies, and then 10 years, 15 years down the line, you have a great opportunity to have your new heroes that are established have to have some weird mission, saga to go back in time to save these older versions, and you bring back Ezra Miller, and you bring back Ben Affleck, and you bring back Henry Cavill, and you bring back Gal Gadot. But no. It's just gonna leave it muddy and shitty and weird, and here's a little joke, and that sucks.
I hate that they were too afraid to make it dark. And I just think it needed to be. I think there needs, in this film particularly, that needed to have a little bit of darkness, which leads to my other really big criticism. I almost walked out of this movie. Anything with the Justice League. That first 15 minutes, any joke, the jokes were so, the lasso of truth bit where he's like, I have never had sex with a woman before. First of all, they've done that gag 3 times already. Every opportunity, and the humor and the awkwardness that comes out of this relationship with these characters is so cringeworthy, I couldn't stomach it. On top of literal babies falling out, you're gonna put a baby in a microwave. The movie should have started with him calling his dad in jail. That's where the movie starts, because that's what this movie's about.
It did at one point, because that whole first sequence was so in the computer that Ben Affleck was not there. I don't even think that was Ben Affleck's voice for most of the early part. Maybe on the bridge. Maybe on the bridge was Ben Affleck there, but the entire motorcycle chase, he did not step foot on any set. It could have been added later. It could have literally been added later. You know what we need is we have that one scene with Batman, which was great, with Bruce Wayne rather, sitting on the car. Great performance by Affleck. Great little back and forth between him.
That stuff was good.
That was a great moment. I was honestly Affleck is getting the assignment here. He's really doing great.
He did great.
then somebody comes in at the end, one of the 5 different executives that was overseeing Warner Brothers over the course of 6 months, and said, we got to have a Affleck action sequence. And Affleck goes, I'm not fucking coming back. Fuck you guys. All right, we'll computerize him, like fully digital. Like
I dare action movies today to not start with an action set piece. I dare you. I dare you to start with story. Like that's where the effort. That's where the lack of effort really shows. It goes, we got to have something explode to wake people up. To just, hey, look over here.
Hey, look over here. Look at that.
Look over here, idiots. Look, there's explosions. There's people dying. Like, hey, are you happy? Hey, okay, you good? All right, now we can do the talkies. Now we can do the talkies.
Just don't look at your phone. A little bit of talking.
It just frustrates me stuff because all that shit like is forced humor and forced action. It meant nothing to the story. It meant absolutely nothing. If anything, it was contradictory to the relationship that Affleck and Ezra Miller have in the actual story. There's like a father mentorship. He says Batman's my best friend. In that first fucking scene, he's always complaining about Batman. I'm always cleaning up your messes. It always seems like Batman's always doing stupid stuff again, right, Alfred? Like he's burdened by his greatness in only that 15 minutes. Yeah. And then later in the film, he's like, he's my best friend. I love him. He's my only friend. I don't like. He's my mentor. He's the guy I always go to when I need help.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck. Like it really was just thrown together. It had to be.
Yeah. Well, and there is like we know it was. It feels like there were 10 different directors attached and 50 different writers and 7 different studio heads. And surprise, surprise, there were. And so I bet you that sequence at the beginning of this film was written by, perhaps even storyboarded by, completely different people than were the final writers and directors of the film. Like it's gone through so much, and that sequence is bananas. And but here, the slightest faint hint of praise is like that general concept, and most of the general concepts in this film could be great. Like, I understand, like, you're doing a big, huge superhero film. Like, start with a set piece, and oh my God, this building's collapsing, and all of these babies are, like, sliding to their death out of this skyscraper through a window. And I thought, as that was happening...
You're gonna play it for laughs? You're gonna play it for laughs?
No, exactly. As that was happening, I was like, okay, the CGI is already horrible with these babies, but let's wait and see, like, how's he gonna get out of this? You know, like as the baby started to tumble through the air, I was like, like how long are they gonna let these kids fall? Like they're fucked, they're gonna die. But then like, it's like, oh, so it's completely played for laughs. Yeah, like it is funny that he bypasses saving the kids to go punch a fucking vending machine to get food. But like, okay, but the minute it becomes funny, it's no longer a threat. It's no longer emotional.
Yeah.
And so that's probably not great for your big emotional action set piece to start your film, that it's more about the comedy.
The tone of this, it started out one way and then ended a different way in terms of tone. I like once Michael Keaton got introduced, I started to really enjoy the film a lot more. Again, in the beginning, that first 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I almost walked out. I was this close. I was like, if this is the whole film, this like cheeky bullshit comedy of that people hate from Justice League, like it's worse. It's somehow worse. Like if this is just what it is, fuck this. I'm out. Yeah. But when Batman got there, when Keaton got there, it started to settle down, and they got not that there wasn't jokes, but it calmed down a little bit from that crazy babies falling from the sky playing for laughs shit and lasso of truth nonsense to a little bit more grounded nature, to where the end started to feel like, oh, there are some real fucking consequences here. There's some real shit about to go down. And then they punch you in the dick on the way out just for good measure. But that middle part, second act into the third act, I really did start to get on board with. So that's why it's hard for me to say, I didn't just blanket hate it. It's just some terrible shit that I truly hated. But some stuff I enjoyed. Some stuff I really did enjoy. And I got into the ride a little bit towards the middle towards the end.
Yeah, I was still in. like in spite of the effects, right? Like if you take the effects out of it, and let's just say the effects were what it deserved, and the effects were great, as any giant release film should be. Like, this is a huge film. It should be top-notch. So let's just say, for argument's sake, it was. The movie itself was, to me, until really the end, where it just got so fucking stupid and convoluted, like, enjoyable. I was, like, okay with the general momentum and the structure. I thought Ezra Miller did a totally fine job, if not good in some parts. I didn't like at the very beginning, like his first scene where he goes in, where Barry Allen goes in to order a sandwich or whatever, and he's being so fucking like quirky and weird and all the shit I really hated about that character from the Justice League movies. And I was like, oh my God, if this is how this is gonna be this whole time, I'm not gonna be able to handle this. But then all of a sudden, he just stops being that, and it's sort of because the younger self enters the film and is so annoying in all of his own ways. Like a different kind of annoying. But then the more mature Barry Allen is now like totally tolerable and thoughtful, and Ezra Miller gives like I think a pretty good performance. That didn't set the world on fire, but good, solid, did what it needed to do. Like I already mentioned, Affleck I thought did good. Michael Keaton is never bad. He's always great.
He's great.
I thought the Supergirl actress was totally fine in very limited moments.
I know. I thought she was good too. I would say she was good.
I think
I wanted more. I wanted to see more from her, but then I really liked her dying. Not like that sounds weird to say, but like it really proves like how tough Zod truly is, and how impressive Man of Steel, like retroactively. Oh man, like we need Superman. Like it elevated Superman in a way, like the absence of Superman. Like I liked a lot of the character dynamics. The supporting actors, I thought, did a really good job.
It was good enough. Like I always say, if you transport me, I can forget about like the logistical bullshit of like, well, that would never work, or this would never happen, or that doesn't make any sense, or why. Like, distract me with emotion. And if you distract your audience with emotion, that's all you need. And so this movie kind of did that even in spite of the horrible CGI. So that goes to show the strength of what a lot of the other stuff was doing, until it just doesn't, and it just gets so goofy, like, and that sucks. But there was a time where you're like, it's all fine if they just gave a shit enough. You know, like if they just dotted their T's and crossed their I's. And
another thing that I really liked about the film was that at the core of it, it was a smaller story that got out of hand, and there was big spectacle on top of it or surrounding it. But the core of the story, the emotional weight of the story lies within a boy's relationship with his mother, and his mother passing away, and him trying to do anything he can to save his mother, or indirectly his father. You know, like that's the journey he's going on, and all this other shit is obstacles in his way. Where this is my biggest complaint with like Marvel now, is that they've stripped all of that away, that relatable stuff from superheroes away, the things that audiences can grab onto, that I can grab onto and say, oh, I'm just like you in that one particular way. I love my mom too. You know, when it's just all spectacle. It's just CGI monsters fighting other CGI creatures. It's just, you know, books of spells and random rays of light that beam out of wherever, and like end credits. Wasn't that fun? That's so I was really pleasantly surprised with that as well. It helped get me going through the shitty parts.
It's all there. Like, I felt that about the whole movie. All the pieces are there. Like, it's not far from being really good, but you just didn't take it home. You know, you just didn't ram it home.
You know what I thought was just like the perfect emblem of not owning what this film should have been as we're talking about it? They take all the stakes away. They take everything that meant something throughout the whole film away with one decision, and it's, you know, Barry Allen has this heartfelt conversation with his mom, and he's got to learn to let go, and he can't fix everything, and meddling with the past never works out, and I've seen me go down this road, and it never works. And then literally the next decision he makes, he changes his father's future history, like by putting the can up there so they can see his face. Like the next decision. So not only is the universe fine, not only is it fine, but he doesn't learn anything. He doesn't grow as a character because the next thing he does is do exactly what he just learned he shouldn't be doing. Like that is the perfect example of how you couldn't just stick the fucking landing. Like you can't own the consequences that you put into your film. Like own that shit and like let us have some wins and some losses within the same story. Like that's fun. That's the fun part, I think.
It really was bonkers in a way. Like I say bonkers a lot for movies, but this one was really, that's why I said my word was shocked. I'm just shocked that this was released. You know? Like I'm just shocked that people signed off, like again, not to belabor the special effects, but that anyone signed off on that and that anyone was just like, yes, this does everything it needs to do. Because it's just fucking piecemealed together. It's just piecemealed together of 40 different visions and just trying to get through it. And that like, you lose all trust. So like, I believe that James Gunn is a really excellent director and is a really great storyteller. And like those Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I haven't seen the third one, but the first two were like high points of the MCU. And I thought the Suicide Squad was like a very enjoyable movie. Like he clearly gets it. But like, then don't lie to me. Like back to my original point. Like then I just think you're another fucking suit now. Like which he is. You're a studio executive. But like as this film was ending, I honestly felt like I'm out. I'm done. I'm done with the DC everything. I mean, I'm kind of done with it. I've been kind of done with Marvel. Like I haven't been watching Marvel stuff. But like I'm not gonna go see new DC stuff. I don't think. Like maybe I will if we're gonna do an episode or if there's one movie that's really a big deal. But I'm like, I'm not gonna go from out of my own interest because I don't trust James Gunn anymore. Like, I don't trust.
I disagree. I disagree.
He said this was maybe the greatest superhero movie of all time, Keith.
Yeah, but I don't think he's fucking. If I gave you $1 million, would you say the movie I made was a great movie?
Of course, but then I would also say you obviously can't trust me. Like I'm not saying I wouldn't do what he did, but he's not trustworthy now. I'm not gonna say like, oh,
no, it doesn't change. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I disagree because of what you said before it, and I agree. He is a great storyteller. I enjoy James Gunn's work. He's a fan of the comics. He's a good knack of storytelling. He understands the right way to do this. And he's earned that throughout his career. So just because he blows some smoke up your ass about a project he had nothing to do with, he's just trying to get some heat on his own projects as soon as he's walking in the door. It's not great. I don't love it, but I'm going to go see that first Superman movie. I'm going to go see it, and I look forward to it. This movie made me interested because like there's so many more questions. Like the door is wide open for new things to happen. On top of that, in this universe, but I also like the Joker. I'm excited to see the new Joker movie. I'm excited to see Batman 2, the R-Pat movie. Like I think DC has some pieces that I'm excited to just follow along with and see where they go. Maybe I'm not going to be first in line to see them, but I'll check them out. Where Marvel can go fuck themselves. Like they've lost me.
But those two things that you just referenced being excited about have nothing to do with the DCU. Like that's
DC
just
in
further
general.
Evidence of how fucked it is. That yes, Joker 2, sure, you can be excited, not DCU. Batman 2, sure, you can be excited, not DCU. Like they still cannot just make it cohesive. And I'm not saying they should even. I think we've been on this show before saying just do your different projects. Don't try to duplicate Marvel's fucking a big universe of everything because we're seeing the limits of that with Marvel as we speak. Like it is wearing thin. Superhero fatigue and oversaturation is very real, and Marvel is kind of running on fumes right now. Like so maybe it's not the best model to emulate. Just because they were printing money for a little while. we keep encouraging DC and Warner Brothers to do their own thing. You have different IP. A lot of it is a little more mature. You can have your timeline for the R-Pats movies that are kind of darker and a little more adult, and then you can do Super Pets or whatever the fuck the animated shit is. Like, you can do all that shit, and it doesn't have to be in this big umbrella. Like, just do the shit. Do it. Like, we can get it. We can understand it. You get trapped. You get trapped by having to try to make it all cohesive and all tie together. And that's what Marvel is now. It's just fucking trapped. Instead of just trying to tell good stories and make good films, they have to be like, oh, but how does this fit? How does this fit? It's all so
I would
episodic.
disagree. I don't think they don't give a shit about how it fits. One thing I have to ask is another thing that is up for debate. I think people have different feelings about this scene in particular. But the big cameos that came late in the film, especially Christopher Reeves, those digital remakes of people, essentially. How did you feel about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have mixed emotions in the sense that, like, the Christopher Reeve thing was kind of spoiled for me because I saw this little fucking phone clip on Twitter of somebody showing Christopher Reeve and the Supergirl fly up next to him. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you and I talked beforehand, and you mentioned that you had heard that maybe Christian Bale was going to be in this movie. And so I sort of went into it thinking, like, within the energy of this film, assuming it's going to be very conclusive and wrap everything up all nicely, that the end would probably feature all of these major DC heroes showing up from throughout the decades to sort of like gather around the Flash as the Flash learns his final lesson. And it's just this very like end gamey victory lap, pat on the back. Like, we're moving on to the next chapter of the DC world, the DC universe. Let's look back on all the great times we've had. So I expected more, to be honest. In the moment, the digitalization of like Christopher Reeves and George Reeve, the original Superman from the 40s or 50s or whatever, and was like fine to me, because normally I don't like that stuff, because I don't want a digital actor, especially like a deceased digital actor, playing a big role in a film. Like they did that with Carrie Fisher in, I want to say Rogue One, where they bring back Princess Leia at the end and she's completely digitized. Like, I don't want to see a digital person
actor,
like, leading the narrative, like advancing the narrative. In this case, it's literally just like a slideshow of past greats and memories, and that seems fine to me, especially if the relevant estates sign off on that and they're fine with it. The Nicolas Cage thing I thought was funny, but like totally undercut the power that you should want. Like, you're gonna show me Christopher Reeves on film for the first time in 35 years or whatever it's been, 20 years. Like, that should be eliciting tears, right? Like,
right.
that should if you're successful in that moment, that should bring you to tears if you're a fan. But then right after, we see Nicolas Cage as the Superman who was almost.
Yeah. It's funny that they wouldn't save Reeves for last. Like, that seems like your crescendo. That's your biggest reveal, right? I would think.
100%.
Why not lead? Maybe not lead. Stick Cage in the middle.
Yeah.
And make it a quicker. They kind of dwelled on that for a little bit too long.
Because they wanted to show more of his action.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the movie theater being like, oh, that guy with long hair fighting a spider. I'm sure that's a nod to Nick Cage. And then they like do this dramatic reveal of like his face, and I was like, oh, we're just showing,
his
confirmed.
face in heavy quotes there.
yeah, his likeness, I should say.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, it's not like, that part's not going to hit as hard because it's not actually Nicolas Cage. And I read that like, oh, he showed up to do some like motion capture stuff and they de-aged him and all this shit. But like, I don't care. Like, it's so clearly fake that it just is an animation. So it doesn't impress me. It's sort of like we talked about with Space Jam, A New Legacy, where they have all the Warner Brothers IP dancing in the background of all the basketball games. Like, oh, the Joker's there, faded in the background. Cool. But it's like, no, it's not cool. Like, I need to see Joaquin Phoenix. That's what makes cameos cool, is the real person is there.
Yeah, it would have been much better. I would have thought that would have been really cool. I didn't even think about it. Like, actually have Nick Cage like show up in a Superman outfit.
Yeah, and it feels very incomplete because you get Christopher Reeves, you get the woman from the, I believe, 1984, like Supergirl TV movie or something. That was the blonde woman that was next to him. You have a little Adam West shot. You have George Reeve. I think I read that they had Eartha Kitt and Cesar Romero like voices, which was the Joker and Catwoman from the old TV show. But then like it's just kind of done. You got Nicolas Cage, like who wasn't even a real
wasn't
one.
an actual
like
man.
where's the others?
Linda Carter wasn't.
Yeah, Linda Carter. Where's the, like? And I read that like they tried, but then it's like even if you tried, like no disrespect to the beautiful and wonderful and talented Linda Carter, but what the fuck else is Linda Carter doing? Like, wait until her schedule is free to like make sure she's in this, because if you're kind of trying to take me through a tour, like it feels just really incomplete.
Yeah, you're right. At the time, I didn't think it was as big of a miss, but now talking about it, I go, yeah, you're right. You're right. It is.
The last thing I kind of want to mention, and it's a huge topic, so settle in. No, but I think like, we know that it's sort of adjacent to the subject of superhero fatigue, where we know that the prevailing belief in Hollywood and in film-going circles is that the only films that are sure to bring the people to the theater, right? The theater is dying. The movie theater experience. No one goes to see movies. Oh my God, box office returns. The only safe bet is superhero IP. But now that is becoming less and less true. And simultaneously, as people are getting kind of tired of superhero films, and it's not just that they're getting kind of tired of them, they're getting kind of tired of them because they're getting worse.
Yes.
Because like the quality is declining. And so it's a result of, oh, these are the only movies that will bring people in, so we start taking it for granted and we just stop trying as hard because they're gonna bring people in. Yes.
Yes.
Simultaneously, the other kinds of movies that you would think might be big, crowd-pleasing, audience-drawing films are all going to fucking Netflix, straight to Netflix. Red Notice, Gray Man, that upcoming Gal Gadot, Heart of Stone, Extraction, like these movies that have movie stars that should be drawing people to theaters are now just straight to Netflix, which is in essence, straight to streaming is just the new straight to TV. Like it's a TV movie is how I'm starting to look at it.
Or DVD, which is straight to DVD.
Exactly, which is why the quality, it's not as good. It's just like, it's just content. It's just content. It's not like a film. So those two things are happening simultaneously. Do you think there is any hope for, and we always come back, it's to Top Gun Maverick as this outlier, but like if you make a good movie that isn't necessarily based on like some historic IP, which I would posit that Top Gun Maverick is one of those things. Like, yeah, it's based on one movie from 40 years ago. Do you think that The Gray Man, if it was better, or A Red Notice, if it was better, would be able to draw people to theaters as superhero films start to fade? Or do you think as superhero films fade, theaters are done? This was the last ditch effort. And that was it.
It's not superhero movies. Superhero movies just took the place. It's action. Action and horror are the things that will keep movie theaters alive because you don't have to understand them to feel them. That's the reason those genres are successful. Is because you don't have to understand what's going on to feel what's happening. Comedy's dead because you have to understand nuance. I'm right.
No. I think comedy can still work because
not in a theater.
I don't think it matters. The genre doesn't matter.
See a comedy.
The genre,
human being on earth other than me.
The genre doesn't matter as much. I think it's just the simple. It's quality. Like if you make a great comedy, like if The Hangover came out today, it would fill theaters.
Nope.
It would.
Absolutely
because people want to go see it. But it's twofold. It's the quality has to be great, and you have to understand that it's not going to be available to order on Amazon or Apple in a week. Because if you know it's going to be there in a week, you're not going to go to the theater.
Yeah,
but it's like it used to be, where it's going to be a fucking year. Go see it now, or you're not going to see it. But people would go see it.
The experience is what people go to theaters for. The experience. the experience is not that different from a theater to your house on a comedy. The experience is very different.
How could you say that?
Very different.
How could you say that?
I'm speaking in generalities. I'm speaking for general audiences, not for me personally.
That's what's made every great comedy experience I've had that much better. Is seeing it in a theater where the whole room erupts. Are you kidding me? It's not better. Borat, South Park,
I'm not
Hangover,
saying
Wedding Crashers.
You're misunderstanding my point. I'm not saying it's worse to, of course it's better to see it in that way. I agree. People aren't getting off of the couch to go see a comedy. That's my point. Not the best way to view a comedy. People don't want to get off the couch. It's not motivation enough because in their mind, I can just see it at home. The experience is not different. People want to see Top Gun Maverick in fucking IMAX. They want to hear the fucking jets fly through them. They want to see the explosions on a 70-foot screen. That's why they go. They want to see blood
I don't think they care.
spurt out of that's it.
I don't think they
That
care.
is it.
Honestly, I don't think they care. And tell me honestly, don't you think if people heard that some comedy was great and all their friends are talking about it at the office, and holy shit, did you see that? It was so funny. And
but
they
nobody
knew,
thinks anything's
and they
funny
knew they
anymore.
couldn't see
Like,
it. If they didn't go to the theater, they couldn't see it. Don't you think that's more of a problem than just it's a comedy, so that's why we're not going to go see it? Because it's a comedy, I can watch that at home. It's not that big a deal.
Yes.
No,
yes,
it's more of a problem that I can't see it for 6 months and all my buddies are talking about it now. I have to go see it.
So you think the only difference is just get rid of streaming?
Well, I think getting rid of streaming would be a great help in a ton of ways. But yes, I think getting rid of, it's not just getting rid of streaming.
Or giving a longer lead time to theaters.
Yes.
I think that changes everything. That brings back theaters?
Yes. Oh,
you're wrong.
Are you kidding me? Of course.
You're 100% wrong.
Of course.
You're 100%
How
wrong.
could you disagree? Because the whole argument here is if you get rid of that fast turnaround time and you force the people that the only way they can see something is in theaters, would that help
wouldn't go see
theaters?
it.
Yes,
They
that
wouldn't
would
go see
help
it.
theaters.
They wouldn't go see it.
You're fucking crazy. That's
They
the only
wouldn't go
thing
see
that can
it.
help theaters. What are you talking about?
The complete opposite would happen. Theaters would die quicker because no one is going. You're not threatening people with like, oh, you'll never see the Hard Way. I think, what's the name of the Jennifer Lawrence movie? That's
No Hard Feelings.
No Hard Feelings.
It's a pun about erections.
No Hard Feelings. You won't get a chance to see No Hard Feelings for another 7 months. They'll say, okay. Like, whatever the time frame is, they will wait for it. Because there's content everywhere. I got my fucking phone in my hand.
Not if it's also good. Not if it's also good. Because if it's good, it generates positive word of mouth. We know this. We don't have to like speculate. We know this because this is the way that the film system operated for 100 years before the prevalence of the internet
But now
and streaming.
things are different. So that doesn't apply as much anymore.
Yeah, they're different because people are all about immediate gratification and studios are like, we just need to get it to people's content, watch, click, data. But it's like if you pulled back on that a little bit, that it would work. Like it's wild to me that you think that forcing films to stay in theaters longer and that being the only avenue for people to see films that they want to see wouldn't help theater or like make the theaters thrive more.
No,
of course
it wouldn't make it. The problem, in my opinion, the reason theaters are dying is because of the motivation for people to get out of their house and to spend money, more money than they would, and physically go to a place that's less comfortable, more expensive, and
surrounded by assholes.
Surrounded by people who are talking on their cell phone, like
assholes.
It's not a pleasant experience. It's a lot for someone to spend money to do that. And just because it's like, oh, it's only here, then they'll go, okay, well, what is on my TV? What is on my TV? I'm gonna watch that.
A certain amount of people would do that, but it's all a system of the product has to be better too, which is not the case. No one's gonna get off their couch to go see Red Notice as it is now because it's fucking terrible. And the first wave of people that went to see it would tell all their friends, you don't need to see that. But if it's Top Gun Maverick, all of a sudden it makes $2 billion because everybody's like, you gotta see this movie. It's fucking crazy. They actually give a shit.
You're applying the logic for the top 1% of movies as if that would apply to 100% of the movies.
I'm saying they need to make the quality better so it's not just that 1%. It'll never be 100%. But there used to be a time
just because
where
everyone
all the
was
films were better.
enthralled Just because everyone was enthralled with Top Gun Maverick doesn't mean that can be recreated multiple times over and over. That just worked for that film.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
No.
We just talked about Tremors in an episode that's not out yet, but if Tremors came out today, that movie would live in theaters for 4 months because it's so much.
No, I think people would enjoy it.
The film is better.
You're giving people too much credit. You think people feel like you and I feel about movies. We are in the minority. I love going to the movie theaters. I love it. I'll continue to go to movie theaters as much as possible until they shut down. But we are in the minority of people who love movies. Who love movies to the degree. Most people would rather sit on their couch, look at their phone, not pay attention, tune in when they wanted to. I can't believe you're on your side of the argument. You think people really give a shit about movies?
I think they would if movies were good again.
But that's such a subjective thing. My point is society is at this point, whether you like it or not. How they consume content, how they are entertained is what it is. And movies ain't it. Like, movies ain't it. They want to be scared or they want to be excited. Show me explosions. Show me someone getting stabbed. That's it. That's what'll drive. That will make me get from my couch to your theater. They don't care about someone slipping on banana peels. That's not doing it.
I think they just don't. I think FOMO is the driving force. And so if you make something great that is whatever it is, fucking scary, action-packed, funny, dramatic, whatever. You make something that's great, and the people that see it first go, holy shit, this is amazing. And I know, as that person that just heard, all my friends are talking about this thing that's great, and it's not gonna be on my television or my phone for at least 6 months. I gotta go see that. I'm gonna get motivated. Like, it worked for a long time.
No, but how many things can do that?
They all can fucking do it if they want to. If they tried. You know they're not trying because they all just want to be fucking drag. They just want to be Red Notice. We just have to get clicks. We just have to get the data.
Yeah,
they can all do it. Red Notice could be great.
In reality, though, you can name 10 over the 10 things that have come to my mind right now. Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, just pieces of just television movies, like big epic things that, like, water cooler stuff. You gotta go see it. Top Gun. You can name 10 things right now.
Well, they're all television shows now. Yeah.
But whatever it is, let's just say those are the, like, it's 10 out of how many? Out of how many things that get produced?
Yeah.
Billions. My point is, you can't apply that logic to the top 1% and say that, well, that's the new formula for people to go back to theaters. It's
but
not
we can make 1%, 20%. We can just eke it up to 10%. Like, we can't, the solution can't just be, we'll just stop trying because no one's going to go anyways, so just make bullshit for streaming.
No, you have to reinvent you have to reinvent things. My point is, you can't go backwards.
You have to pander. That's what you're saying. You have to pander. No. You have to make stupid shit because everybody's stupid now.
No, I think you have to create a new movie theater. That's what I think. That's my opinion. I think you create a new movie experience to help motivate people to go. You change
like a porno theater?
Yeah. Like, where you go and you jerk off in front of people next to you. Like,
yes.
Has that been done before?
Did we just save cinema?